Well, welcome everyone. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so glad that you're here for the next edition of the Life Prep Academy workshops. Today, we're going to be speaking about something very, very important. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking to and actually having some folks that me are going to be sharing today that are going to tell you about their journeys to becoming entrepreneurs. And I actually want them to kind of walk through what it took for them to be successful, how they got started. And I have a bunch of questions. I want you guys to ask a bunch of questions also. So please write some questions down. Hold them until we're ready, or you can put them in the chat. That's up to you. But definitely have your questions ready because this is going to be some unbelievable information, some really, really good information. Okay. So yes, welcome to the Life Prep Academy. We're going to go ahead and get started. So our first speaker today is someone I'm just recently meeting, and I am just fascinated by this man's career and what he does, because he has probably, if I were not doing what I do, I probably would be doing something like what he does, okay? And his name is Eugene Hamilton. Eugene Hamilton is, I'm going to say that, I'm not going to try to say exactly what he does, but what I will do, I'm going to let him tell you what that is. And I'm going to bring up his website and ask Eugene if you would just kind of give us, you have about 20 minutes, so you have plenty of time. Take your time. And I just want to know, how did you become Eugene Hamilton, the man that's on the screen, and what do you do exactly? And tell the folks, share a little knowledge.
Thank you so much, Eric, and good afternoon to everybody. Let me just first of all say thank you, Nancy, for introducing me to Eric, right? And so we're here on the strength of connection. One of the things that's important for me as I get to who I am is ensuring that along the way, as I'm meeting people in life, making sure that the connections that I make are solid, that I'm always trying to be kind and empathetic toward people. That's how I got to where I am today. One of the things that's important, as you all are young, you all are passionate, you all have what it takes to change this world. And I want to commend all of you, first of all, for being on the line today, and then giving you what you need to ensure that you know full well that you have what it takes to be whatever you want to be in this world. One of the things I didn't have growing up, grew up in a single parent household. When I was born, my biological father wasn't around, and I watched my mother just go get it, right? Now, she didn't go get it the entrepreneurial route. She went and got it the regular job route, which is fine, 9-to-5 job. She worked 2 or 3 of those things to ensure that we had what it took to have a semi-normal childhood. But I didn't have a vision in front of me of what it meant to be a boss, right? I didn't have a vision in front of me, a visual in front of me of what it really meant to go out there on your own, make something happen behind your name. And I'll get to how my name became what it is. But I started off watching my mother. And then my mother, of course, along the way, as fate would have it, she found someone that she fell in love with. Awesome man that came into our home and began to share with me some things about life that I didn't learn and couldn't glean from my mother. Got to the place in life where I said to myself, I'm going to go to college. And there's nothing wrong with going to college. In fact, I encourage you, if that's your path, if that's along the line of your story, make sure that you position yourself to do just that. So I went to college, but my goal was, check this out, as you can hear me, I'm pretty loud. Hope I'm pretty clear to you. My goal was to use my gift of speaking to make money. And let me just pause here and let you all know that everybody that's on here listening to me, you've got a gift that you can monetize. Sometimes you got to pause, turn off the music, turn off Instagram, turn off the internet, dig within yourself and find out what that gift is that you can utilize to, number one, make impact, and number two, make income. Right? You got to understand that all of us have something inside of you that you can do 2 powerful things with. That one gift that you have, your gift may not be speaking, your gift may be sewing, your gift may be acting, whatever your gift is, right? You can do 2 things with that one gift. Make impact, right? Sharing that gift with the world, helping other people understand who they are, sharing your testimony with the world, sharing whatever you have with the world, and then making income. Impact and income will I promise you, will make your life purposeful and meaningful. So got to the place where I went to college and I said, listen, I only know one route, and that is to get to a place where I can use my gift of speaking, and I wanted to work in a church setting. So I got a degree in religion and business, found my way into that particular world, had an awesome time sharing my gift. But at some point, I said to myself, wow, I feel like my gift can grow wings. I felt like I had legs, right? But I wanted to fly. I felt like I was walking, I was making some impact, I was making a difference in the lives of people, but I still felt stifled. A lot of times you hear entrepreneurs talking about the fact that, hey, when I had to work for somebody else, I didn't feel like I had freedom. And again, I'm not here to knock because everybody doesn't have the discipline to be an entrepreneur. But if in fact you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to know two things. It's going to take discipline, and it's going to be disappointment along the way. Right? And if you don't have any discipline, right? If you don't have any discipline, I promise you. In fact, one of the things that I have to do even now as an entrepreneur is I have somebody checking me every day. Because within me, in and of myself, I don't have what it takes to ensure that I'm doing what I need to do every single day. I have somebody, I'm the boss, but they're checking me to ensure that I'm checking all my boxes, doing what I have to do as a boss to ensure that the company is moving forward. So I use my gift. Again, that all of you are born with a gift. All of you have a gift inside of you. All of you have a talent. You may not realize it just yet. Let me go back to kindergarten. I put a timer on, so I know I have some time left, right? Let me go back to kindergarten. I used to talk a lot in kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher's name was Mrs. Washington. God rest her soul. All right. I would talk a lot in her class, and Mrs. Washington had this sixth sense that said, hey, this young boy likes to talk a lot. I'm not going to kill his affinity for talking. I'm not going to kill he likes to do that, but I'm going to help him channel it in the right direction. So what she told me, she said, Eugene, you talk a lot. You gotta quiet it down in my class, but I'm going to plug you into some things that will help that gift to blossom inside of you. And so she signed me up for spelling bees. Go figure, right? She signed me up for spelling bees where I can go do spelling bees. I can spell the words. I can find out the definition behind the words, the etymology, the all kinds. I can just get in there and just use my gift of talking to figure out how I can polish this gift of speaking. So here we are, several years. I won't tell you how old I am, but several years, over 35 years later, here I am, right? And one of the things that's important for me as I think back to those moments in my life where I didn't know that my gift would literally make room for me. I didn't know my gift would actually open doors for me. I didn't know my gift would make me a boss and a businessman, right? But I kept churning. I kept chipping away, and people kept coming into my life to help me at some point realize and recognize that your gift can help you make an impact and make income. So here I am working in the parish setting, in the religious setting, using my gift to talk to young people. Each weekend, I would craft messages. I would do different activities for the youth, and I had an awesome time. But I felt like my gift needed to get outside of the four walls of that environment. And I felt like there were people in the world that need to hear my gift, right? And so I said to myself, let me transition from where I am into the academic world. So I left the religious setting, went into the academic world on a college campus, had an awesome time. That gift is now it's got baby wings, right? It's beginning to develop some momentum, and then COVID happened. All right. I lost my job, y'all. Yeah. I didn't have a choice now as to what I was going to do with regard to my next step. People that have been telling me for a long time that you should be on your own, you should be a public speaker, you should be a professional speaker, you should be doing things that you don't even dream about now, but I promise you have it inside of you. I said, you know what? The company offered me a severance package, and this is what I did. Let me tell you about being an entrepreneur. I was very responsible with that severance package. I applied for my LLC, did all the things I need to do to become an established business in the state of California and be able to do business other places outside the United States. In fact, my gift has taken me now, right? Now that I've realized that I can have a great impact, my gift has taken me to Canada, to the Virgin Islands, to London, England, to Barbados, to Bermuda, to Zimbabwe. This one gift. I'm a little dusty. I live in California now, but I'm a dusty boy from Louisiana, right? My origins, I'm from the dirty South, literally the dirty South, right? Had never been outside of my neighborhood until I was like 12 years of age. Here I am now, that one gift I have, right? That gift has taken me around the world and back. And so I started my company. Still didn't know what I was doing. Hear me out. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that in order for my business to grow and for me to become a successful entrepreneur, I couldn't sit still. Hear me out. Because sometimes I know you and me, sometimes we think if we don't know what to do, we just sit still and something gonna fall out the sky. No, that's not how it works. I made myself available, right, to receive mentorship from people who didn't know they were mentoring me, but they were dropping nuggets and gems inside of me. And I'm like, oh wow, I can use that to help me turn another corner in my business. Oh wow, I met a guy at Coffee Bean. We sat down and talked for 2 hours. Oh wow, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong with my LLC. He had no idea that I was taking that stuff back, right? I'm just a sponge, taking in information, not knowing what I'm doing. Don't have an example. Remember, came from a home where I didn't have an example of entrepreneurship, but I'm taking these nuggets, this information back, deposited into my soul, right? And I'm taking it back to ensure that I utilize it till we become a better businessman. So here we are. I'm utilizing social media to get opportunities to speak. Hear me out. People always talk down about IG. I got my first speaking gig. I wasn't scrolling on IG looking for videos and music. Nothing wrong with that, but I wasn't spending all day just scrolling, looking at other people's success. I was scrolling, looking for people who could plug me in so I could be a success. I DM'd a guy. He didn't know me from a can of paint. Told him what I did. He said, wow, you got some real courage just to send me a message. You don't even know who I am? I said, nah, I never heard of you, but I saw what you do, and I think I can be of benefit to your company. Oh, is that right? Yes, sir. Here's what I can do. Boom, boom, boom. Always have your elevator speech available, y'all. Whatever you offer to the world, whatever your gift is, always have your speech ready. Always be able to tell people what I can do, what you can do to impact them. And all the other entrepreneurs online can agree with me on this. One of the things that I've discovered, in order for me to make the impact that I need to raise my family, to live at least decently, and to prepare a future for my son and my wife, is I've got to find out how I can impact people's lives that have the resources to pay me. right. I had to figure out how I can solve people's problems who actually have the resources to help me gain momentum to become who it is that I am. So I sent that one DM. Had never done that before. I got on Zoom, made an impact in this individual's organization, and guess what he did? Phoned a friend. Hey man, I saw this guy, Eugene Hamilton. Man, he came and my people, the morale was low in my organization. He came in there and pumped them up, man. And that, wow, you should bring them to your organization. And guess what happened? The next week, somebody sends me an email. Oh, so-and-so told me that you spoke to this organization. Are you available? Can we jump on a Zoom to discuss how you can impact my company? And from there, I'm just grinding, sending more emails, receiving more emails, continuing to develop my website. I've got a half brother who does graphic designing. He said, man, I'll build your website. This is the same website you see now. I got it built for free, right? Again, finding people who are within my network that believe in me. I'm sitting on the couch one night and my wife tells me, you keep saying go, grow, and glow in all your speeches. Y'all see on the left hand of your screen? I said, yeah. She says, why don't you make that your signature mantra? Why don't you make t-shirts? Check it out. Check it out. In fact, when Nancy first met me on the airplane, I had a shirt like this on, right? Go, grow, glow. Guess what? After I finish speaking now, somebody brings me in to speak for, let's say, $1,500. I'll leave with another $500 because you know why? My shirts are on sale for $20 after I finish speaking. Right? Again, in my mind, I'm always figuring out ways that I can definitely make an impact, but at the same time, I got to live. I want to make income as well. So on that same couch, we sat down and we said, go boldly, grow broadly, glow brightly, right? That became my signature speech, my signature ending of every speech that I give. I had the crowd chanting, go, grow, glow, in corporations, in schools, in nonprofits, wherever it is. And one of the things I want to leave you with that I think that is important for any person that desires to be successful in entrepreneurship, in business, and in leadership, You got to first believe in yourself. After you find that gift, believe that that gift is something that the world needs. Hey, I talked a lot. Did I believe that gift was going to make me into an individual who could now go into spaces and places that I never even thought about and leave with a check? Never. I didn't think that. Right. So let me just give you some hard. All y'all. I know y'all saying, "Well, this sounds cool, man." Whatever. The first year I'm by myself as an entrepreneur after I got let go of that job, the 9 to 5 I was on, thought I was going to retire there, right? I, God is my witness, I doubled my income the very first year. I ain't get you all in my business like that. I ain't gonna tell you how much, right? But just so you know, it's real. I'm telling you, it's real. With hard work, with grind, with discipline, I doubled. Did y'all hear me? Doubled. I doubled my income, right? I was able to leverage my gift, to use that gift to develop the Eugene Hamilton Group, right? Right. And under that LLC, I haven't even begun. I'm only scratching the surface of where I know my gift is going to take me. Because I want to give back. I don't just want to make income, right? But I want to be in a position now that I can start my own nonprofit where I can go to some of these countries that I've been to, I just mentioned, where I saw some very serious need. I can give back to my nonprofit. There's some things that I still want to do, right? But on this side, I'm building it up, building up my resources, making sure I'm treating people right. One of the things that's key for me is repeat customers, right? I ensure that wherever I go, I do my very best to give them a good product so they can either, number one, refer me out, or number two, right? They can come back and say, you know what, Eugene, I've got another, I have something else that I need for you to come to speak at. Would you do that for me? And so even on these pictures that you see on the very bottom where it says speaker, I'm sitting at this is the city of Portland, Oregon, where I just sent one email to a guy who was in the newsroom. Sent him a clip. I said, man, I've been trying to get this to your organization's leader. I can't seem to get through. He said, man, wow, you've got some tenacity. He says, I'll take the email down. I'll take my computer to him right now and show him. Can you jump on the Zoom? I got on the Zoom, went to the city of Portland, spoke for the Martin Luther King Day event that they had. And I can tell you how much I got right there. One speech, 45 minutes, talking about your gift, impact, and income, $12,000. One speech, one email, made myself available, went up there for 45 minutes, came back home with a $12,000 check, right? What I'm trying to share with you, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not rich by any means. What I am sharing with you is that on the road to success, as you are seeking to become whatever it is that you want to become in this world, right? It's going to take hard work. It's going to take discipline, but anything is possible. On the right, I am at another event that, again, everything you see on my website, I promise you, it's something that I took the initiative to reach out to someone to say, hey, I have a gift. Can I offer it to your company? I have a gift. Can I offer it to your organization? Right? And sometimes I'll do it the first time. Hey, that's pro bono. I just want you to see that I'm passionate about it. Next time, they're running me down. Hey, I should have paid you for that last thing you did. You did such a good job, right? I have something to give you now. Can you do it again and again and again and again? So here we are. I mean, the life is not a bed of roses, but I promise you this. As an entrepreneur, I have way more good days than I have bad days. I don't have to answer to anybody but my wife and God. Right. And I'm at a place now where I have peace, right? I know that I am in my sweet spot. I know that people are being impacted by what I have to offer. And I know that in this role that I'm in right now, right, there is more to come. So I think I'm at the 20-minute mark. Eric, I don't know if you want to pause now and take some questions, or if you want me to, I can share more because I'm a talker, so I can keep on going.
You know, why don't you go ahead? You got about 2 or 3 more minutes. If you want to share a couple more things, then we are going to, I have some questions and I hope you guys are ready. I want you guys to be ready with your questions too. Okay. So
sure.
A little bit more, please go ahead.
Sure. So one of the things I want to share with you as an entrepreneur is that I'm very honest with myself. So there are some things within my business that I don't have the skill set to do. And I've seen over and over again people that I've come in contact with, people that I've met who are so prideful, who want to keep all their funds themselves, that they end up spending more money because they make mistakes, right? In areas that they don't have. I've got an accountant. I don't know taxes like that. Right. I've got somebody to keep my books because I don't know how to keep my books like that. So as an entrepreneur, not only am I focusing on how I can have make great income, but I'm also strategically seeing who I can spend money with that will, number one, save me on time, and number two, using that time to leverage my skill set to go and make more impact. Right. So I'm very honest with myself that, hey, I can't do everything. Like right now, I'm writing a book. Right. I'm writing 2 books. I'm writing a children's book right now, and I'm writing an adult book about emotional wellness. Right. I have somebody that I've hired to do all my editing. You know why? Because I was subpar in English. Right. I speak it well, but punctuations and grammar and colons and all that's not my. I hired somebody. So know that as an entrepreneur, you're not just going to make money. You're gonna have to spend money too, right? And be strategic in how you spend that money, right? Because one of the things that I've had to do is to ensure that each month I'm setting aside something for Uncle Sam, right? I'm setting aside something for extracurricular things. I'm setting aside something for my family. I'm setting aside something for those things that I know I don't have the skill set in, but I know they have to get done in order for my business to keep moving and to continue for my business to continue to grow and to have an impact in the world around me. So I want to leave you with that, because I do know sometimes we hear the good things. Oh, I'm out here doing this. I'm speaking here and speaking that. But there are some things I have to as an entrepreneur, I got to say, you know what? When I worked for a company, I didn't see the HR department. They took out my medical stuff. They took out my tax. I didn't have to do all that stuff. But I got to make sure it get done now as an entrepreneur, and I want to make sure I get it done right. So sometimes I've got to sit down and really find the best person to get it done, right? But that helps my business to keep soaring and keep me out of trouble with Uncle Sam, so I can continue doing what I do to make sure the world is a better place, or better than when I found it. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. And then lastly, I'll share this, because I've seen people in my line of work who are selfish, right? And so sometimes I get hired by a company and they'll ask me to speak on something that I have no idea about the topic. The topic is foreign to me, right? There are times when I've said to myself, you know what? I can go do some homework. I can go do some research. I can come up with something. But when I show up, people are like, that ain't your passion. You just came for a check. That ain't your area of expertise. Right. So sometimes when I first started, I'm like, I'll take everything, anything, everything. Give it to me. Well, you want me to talk about the moon? I'm like, okay, this dude don't know nothing about the moon. You want me to talk about science? But people could tell in my presentation that, hey, you out here, you perpetrating a fraud, man. You fronting. That's not really your area of expertise. So I found out what my area was within the space of speaking, and I just went after people, and I'm going after people even now who will pay me for what I do, for what I know already. Makes sense? I'm not saying I don't want to grow, but there's some things I'm not passionate about. Frogs in Montana, so I'm not going to go to a rural education summit in Montana to talk about frogs. I can't do it. Right? It'll be a poor presentation. I won't be passionate, and your people, I promise you, will leave with no information, nothing new, nothing that will empower them. Right? So I make sure I position myself to help people in areas that I'm either one passionate about already, just innately, or I've disciplined myself enough to sit down and say, you know what, I can develop a passion around this and help it move forward to make the kind of impact that they are hiring me to come and have for their people. So I wanted to share that with you. But this time, go ahead, Eric. I just want to kind of see if I can respond to any questions you might have. If I got too loud, please forgive me. I do get passionate a little bit, so please forgive me.
Man, thank you, Eugene. Thank you. And Nancy, thank you for introducing us. Man, you're phenomenal. So you answered, I got a list of questions, and you touched on about 4 or 5 of them already. But I am just going to run by one of the ones that you did touch on, because I think they're important. The number one was, why are communication skills so important? And can you just spend a minute on that?
Yeah, for sure. Good question. Communication skills are so important because I leave so much up to chance when I don't communicate properly. Has anybody ever on the line? Has anybody ever been misunderstood? Yeah, you're like, man, I wish I could just tell my side of the story. I wish that I can communicate with them that, hey, you heard that from a secondhand person. They weren't even there, right? And so one of the things I see with in terms of communication, number one, communicating helps me, number one, advocate for myself, right? It helps me tell my story the way that I need to be told, or if there's something that's misunderstood about me, I can clear that up with communication. Number two, hey, listen, has anybody ever worked on a job where you were underpaid? All right, and you're like, man, I deserve more, right? That takes learning, knowing how to communicate that, knowing how to share that information. Number three, advocating for others. Again, learning how to communicate in a way that's effective. One of the things I cringe at seeing activists who have bullhorns and they're just spewing a lot of information, and it doesn't have the kind of impact that they want. They're poor communicators. They're loud. They know how to talk, but they can't communicate properly. Communication for me puts people in a position where they're desirous of acting after they've heard my communication. There's a call to action with what I've shared with them. If individuals aren't moved to act after I've communicated, I've got to go back to the drawing board to see, hey, man, what went wrong with that communication process? What happened with that? So communication is important to advocate for yourself, speak up for yourself, speak up on behalf of others, and to get your point across. And there are ways that you can do that. I'm not talking about just public speaking. I'm talking about in spaces where, and if you got a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner or whomever you've got, communication is key if you're going to move to the next level, right? The other day, I told my wife that I was hungry, and she thought I was saying, go fix my food. I'm like, I didn't say that. I said, baby, I'm hungry. That's all I said. I didn't. Now, in the back of my mind, I may have said some things that were out, and she in the other room, so she may lower my voice. Right? I just messed. But learning how to communicate in a way that people can receive it and respond to it is super important, right? So as you position yourselves for interviews, position yourselves for college, position yourselves for finishing up high school, position yourselves for the real workforce. Learn how to communicate on your behalf, clearly, concisely, and in a way that people are moved to action as a result of what you communicated.
Beautiful, man. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. So I actually have other questions, but I want you guys to have a chance to ask your questions. Do you have any specific questions? Go ahead and come off mute, raise your hand. Neely, I see go ahead.
So Eugene, when you reach out to some company or something, some people, do you make a research on them or directly reach out to them?
Sure. Thank you for your question, man. So let's say, for instance, and that's a good question. I'm gonna give you a quick example. This month is for schools is National Bullying Prevention Month, right? So what I've done is I've crafted an email, a draft that I've researched schools, and I say, hey, my name is Eugene Hamilton. This month is National Bullying Prevention Month. I have a message entitled blah, 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 right? That I would love to come and share with your students to help your campus become a bullying-free campus, right? I'll send a clip of a video, I'll attach the email along with my speaker sheet, boom. So it's always good for me to do research, glad you asked that question, on the company, on the place I'm desirous of going to speak to, because number one, they'll see that I'm serious. It's not just some blind mass email. You know that this month, hey, we're talking about bullying prevention, right? And I'll even put something in there at the bottom on my signature. Is it Neely or Nijay? Neely. I'll put something in my signature, like if their school is Mountaintop Bulldogs, I'll put at the bottom, go Bulldogs. So they'll know that I went to their website. I saw their mascot. I'm sold out for whatever their mantra is, and I'm coming in not to speak my own stuff, but to do something that will support your mission, your dream, your vision. So if you see a company or whatever organization you want to be a part of or go do some business with, it's important that you know their mission, you know their vision. So you're not going in with your own agenda, but you're coming to help them reach their vision and their mission for their company. Good question.
Thanks, man.
Good job, Neely. Okay, anyone else? If you have a question, go ahead and come off of mute or raise your hand and just let me know. Anyone else have any other questions? All right, well, I have a question here. This is something we also talk about. You talked about belief in yourself This is something I've asked my students. Has anyone ever rained on your dream? You know,
Yeah.
they did not understand your dream, and how did you overcome that?
Good question, Eric. Thank you for that. So I didn't tell you all this. I didn't find out till years later that Mrs. Washington, I mean, I knew she knew that I stuttered, I had a stuttering problem, right? But she saw something beyond the stuttering. I didn't have money, right, to go to a speech therapist, didn't have opportunities to do things like that. So Mrs. Washington, right, I guess had the foresight to see that, hey, the spelling bees may help me with my speech impediment. The first day I showed up at the spelling bee, I'm not spelling bee, I'm sorry, at the class or whatever it was to prepare you for the spelling bee. The coach, the spelling bee coach, told me, he said, man, you stutter too much. You'll never, is this a joke? He told me, is this a joke? Yeah, your speech is not in a position where they will understand you. You're going to get out on the first word because you keep stuttering. So number one, he didn't see the vision that Mrs. Washington saw for me. Rain on my parade, right? He tried to get me to kind of leave the room and forget about that, not knowing that there was something inside of me that was screaming for help to position me to fulfill my dream of being a speaker. I mean, I'm telling you, I wanted to be a speaker so bad. I used to listen to broadcast religious television growing up, and I would memorize stuff people were saying on TV. I would memorize, and I would make my sister, I'd make them sit around. I said, listen to me say what I just saw on TV. Right? Again, I was still stuttering, but I would go to those spelling bees. Again, it sounds like this is a hood answer to a real clinical problem, right? But I would go to spelling bees to kind of help me work out my kinks with the way that I would. But somebody tried to stop me, Eric. Somebody tried to say that, hey, you will never be able to go to a spelling bee. Your speech is messed up. You stutter too much. People will laugh. You get on the first word. And I promise you this, there's no lie. I have the trophies to prove it. If you want to go to Louisiana with me, let me know. The first spelling bee I went into, I won first place. Right? Still hadn't gotten over my speech impediment, but I kept working at it. Right? Kept moving toward my dream and my goal of being a public speaker. And so I didn't allow that to stop me. I kind of blocked it out and I just kept working.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know that every other entrepreneur on this phone, anyone who's ever on this call that, who's ever thought about entrepreneur, that's the main thing we talk about, is that belief in your dream and belief in yourself. There are going to be people, and there, in some cases, I've told my students, it could be someone who loves you and is not trying to hurt you at all.
Yeah.
Just not able to see their dream. They're not able, their dream has never been that big, in some cases. So for them, it's like, oh, don't hurt yourself. Oh, I'm trying to protect you. I don't, and in some cases, like I said, it could be family, it could be mother, it could be father, it could be your best friend in some cases.
Sure.
And it's something they're going to have to learn to navigate, because that person's not trying to hurt you. And you're going to still have to try to keep a relationship with that person, but respectfully let them know that your dream is bigger than what they can see. And you have to just keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Eugene, man. Hey, unbelievable. I appreciate it. Any other questions from the class before we move on? Because I have another person I just can't wait to have you talk.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay. Now, who is this? Who's on this online? Is that Aishane?
Aishane.
Hey, what's up? Go ahead.
I was wondering, were there other ways that you overcame your speech problem, or it was just the spelling bee that helped?
Good question. I guess trying to remember, I know I never went to therapy. I never had an official, professional person to help me with that. It was mainly, I would say the number one catalyst was the spelling bees. I mean, I would go home and try to make sure I did certain things. And one of the things even now, because I even stutter now, not as bad as I did back then. One of the things I do now is I use my stuttering to my advantage. If I'm up giving a speech in front of 1,000 people and I start stuttering, number one, it means I'm going too fast. So what I'll do is I'll use it as a cue that, Eugene, you're rushing, right? So even though I'm not all the way, I'm 43 years old. I said I wasn't gonna tell you my age. That's my age. I'm 43 years old, right? And I even though sometimes I still stutter, right? I'll use it as a cue for me in my public speaking that, hey, you're going too fast. They may not be able to understand you. Slow down. You're biting your tongue. right? So again, I didn't get any professional help. I did those spelling bees, and I kind of worked through it on my own. And here I am. So good question. Yeah, but yeah, I guess I didn't get anything but spelling bees.
Good question, Aishane. My man James, go ahead. I see you have your hand up. Go ahead.
You know, the one question I did have, what kept you motivated actually, even when you said a few people, you know, was knocking you, and you know, one thing you did say was that you lost motivation, you kept moving forward. So did you use that as fuel to keep you going?
Yeah, absolutely, James. Good question. I think one of the things that's crazy, in fact, if any of you grew up in the neighborhood I grew up in, or one like it, you know that a lot of times people get out of the neighborhood by playing sports or doing music. I was bad at both. 2 left feet, and I can't sing worth a lick, right? So I had to find a gift. I said, I don't have those 2 gifts, but I've got something that's going to help me get out of this situation that I'm in. I got to use something. There has to be some gift inside of me that hey, that's going to take me to the next level. And so, hey, I said, my gift of speaking, nobody can take that from me, right? You can talk crazy about me or crazy to me. You can say my stuttering. I know that I got to give. I got to keep working on it, right? Because I know this is my ticket for a better future for me, for my family, for me to have the success and the freedom that I want. So I guess I did use those negative comments or situation that seemed as if I should quit, and people telling me that. I use it as fuel to keep on going. Yeah, James, that's good. That's good, man.
Great question. Great question, James. Jen, hey, I see your hand up. Go ahead, ask your question.
I had written this one down. How do you personally overcome overwhelming obstacles, and what are some other ways to deal with it, depending on different environments, you know, as a leader?
Oh man, that's deep. That's deep. That's a deep. Good question, though. Good question.
Yeah.
I think that's important because I know that people say you know, have belief in yourself, and then people say, well, how does that look? How does that look? Right? How does that really? It's good. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to do it. One of the things that I'm still working on, I haven't perfected it, but one of the things I'm working on, I wanted to share with you right here really quickly. I got this journal, right?
Oh,
right.
nice.
And one of the things that's important for me is checking myself every single week to ensure that I'm doing everything that I've written down, right?
Okay.
So one of the ways that you stay on track and overcome obstacles is you had to be laser focused. And one of the ways that I stay laser focused is I hold myself accountable by writing it down, right? You got to I can't depend on my mama or my daddy to hold me accountable no more. You're at the age now where you got to start holding yourself accountable. You're the age and point in your life now where you got to say, hey, listen, I'm not a toddler, I'm not an infant, I'm not a preteen no more. I'm getting to a place now where it's my responsibility to look at these obstacles as stepping stones. Look at these obstacles as opportunities for me to grow, develop. I may bust my head, but when I heal again, right, I'm gonna get back up, shake it off, and keep chasing that dream, right? So one of the ways, again, journaling. Number 2, accountability partners. Find people that you trust that can hold you accountable. Hey, you said you're gonna be ready for hey, are we gonna get ready for that test? Oh, you horsing around. Hey, we got to get this. So you got to find somebody that's not afraid of you, that will check you, right? Somebody that ain't scared of you, that's gonna be like, hey, you know what? You ain't gonna be ready for college in August if you're doing this way. We got to get together and make sure we getting our applications out, doing what we got to do to make sure that we're in position to receive whatever scholarships that we're gonna get. Find somebody that will hold you. I mean, I ain't talking about somebody that you like. It can't be somebody that maybe your best friend, but they're real blunt with you. They're real straight up with you. Find that person and give them the keys and the license to check you, right? And then go back. I think it's good to go back every single day, every single week, and review why you've set those goals. Okay. Oh, Eugene, you wanna work for yourself just to make money? That ain't gonna happen if it's just money. Oh, you want to impact the world. Oh, you want to put your son in position so that he don't have to get no student loans, and you want to, okay, got you. It has to be bigger than just making money. There has to be a why that's bigger than your bank account, right? To overcome obstacles, you can't just be driven by Wells Fargo. You got to be driven by something that's deeper even than you, something that's bigger than you. So find if it's not a kid, it could be a family member, or aunt, or grandma, somebody in your life. It's you say, you know, I want to make them proud. I want to get in position one day when I can do something for them that they can't do for themselves. And if I reach my goal, I'll be in position to do that for them. So it's kind of the things that help you overcome my obstacles, stay focused, and stay in alignment with what I want to do. So hope they help you out.
Thank you.
Again, my man Eugene, thank you so much. That was amazing. All right, if everyone was here, I'd have them clapping for you. Y'all could throw up a hand or something if you'd like to clap. But thank you.
Thank you.
So we are going to move to our next speaker because I can't wait for you to meet this lady. So she is amazing. She has an amazing story. And you know, Nancy, I want you to tell them all about you. I mean, I've heard your story. It is an amazing story. And you know, I'm going to pull up one of the things that you do. But please tell them about Nancy Gale.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. So my name is Nancy, and gosh, there's so many different legs to my story. So I think the foundation of who I am is resilience. And I always love to start off talking about what resilience really is. So I looked it up in the dictionary because it's a word we hear all the time. Resilience, the ability to spring back into shape after being pulled, bent, or stretched. Resilience, flexible, pliable, supple. Resilience, the capability to recover quickly from difficulties. So whether you grow up with a silver spoon or in poverty, resilience is your greatest asset. The beauty is that resilience is not something one is born with. It is a choice. Resilience is what will get you beyond the wall. So I was very fortunate. I had the great luck to grow up with two extremely supportive families, with two extremely supportive parents in a very supportive family, what one might refer to as an abundance of opportunity. A charmed life is what I always called it. And the events of my life were my ultimate inspiration. So my life, my story, are absolute proof that a charmed existence is not a state of mind, but a state of being, a matter of choice. I have learned with no uncertainty that we are never immune to great challenges, yet we are gifted with the opportunity to choose how we deal with them. So when I was a teenager, my mom became severely ill, spending the greater part of 4 years in the hospital, in and out of consciousness, fighting for her life. 4.5 years and 13 surgeries later, the doctors credited her strong desire to live as the driving force behind her unexpected and inspired recovery. There were so many times that she could have given up, but she never did. She chose to live a life of perseverance and a life of resilience. So I was extremely inspired by my mom's indomitable will, and with the full support of my father as a young adult, I set out with complete confidence to fulfill my dreams. These dreams, I was told as a child, were mine for the taking. I knew I could achieve anything that I set my mind to. Yet in an instant, my charmed, very rose-colored world was rocked when in a quaint New England town, I was brutally attacked and raped by a stranger. Faced with the shattering challenge of this assault, it was up to me to make a choice, and I made one. This one night, that's all he gets. I chose to not let this experience define me. I chose to focus on all I was so fortunate to have. I committed to step through this and use this experience to inspire others. I chose to be resilient. The funny thing about life I discovered, though, is that overcoming one challenge does not ever mean we are given a pass to avoid others. The day after Thanksgiving, a little over 10 years ago, my amazing mother, the one who inspired me the way she did, was murdered. Murder, something I never thought would touch my still rose-colored world. I knew at that point More than ever, I had to call on my resilience. I had to dig deep and persevere. And after 7 long years, her assailant had not been caught. The case was not getting the resources it needed, and it went cold. But with relentless tenacity and a formidable support system, I was able to get the investigation revived. And at the end of 2018, the man who murdered my mom was brought to justice and sent to prison. Since then, the TV crime show On the Case with Paula Zahn aired a story detailing the crime. And A&E's Cold Case is about to air an episode about it as well. And I realize this is something now that is another opportunity in my life, no matter how hard and how sad. But if I continue to choose resilience, I can take this horror and turn it into something that gives opportunity to me and to the people around me. So it really is up to us to make the choice as to how we deal with what is thrown in our path. And I choose power, not pity, every time. My choice, my path is resilience. So this has impacted my business in a way that is hard to imagine. I am the designer and owner of Jama, an exclusive American luxury handbag brand made in the USA. We are almost 24 years old. And I am the founder of Ambition, a nonprofit entrepreneurial program for disadvantaged youth. And as an entrepreneur, I make many choices. The most important choice we all get to make is whether we happen to our lives or if our lives happen to us. So speaking of choices, in my heart, I was a creator, a designer. Yet I was so vulnerable to how people perceived me. And in an effort to prove something to the world, I strayed from my path. I was desperate to be recognized for my intellect. So I put my creativity and my passion aside and sought what I believed would give me the credibility that I thought I desired. And I became a technical writer, working for Ernst & Young and Transamerica and Fortune 500 companies, like Bank of America, and so on. And for me, this was not thrilling. Ultimately, this choice was everything I was not, and it did not yield the results I was seeking. Most importantly, I was not being true to myself, and it became clear that my only choice was to follow my passion. From that moment on, my path was crystal clear, and I knew I had my work cut out for me, because I don't believe that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I believe if you love what you do, you will work really hard. And I knew a lot of hard work was in my path. So I was a designer, and I realized it's time to start acting like one. Ironically, when I began to share my revelation, I was repeatedly met with the same amused response from people going 25 years in my past. All I would hear is, duh, Nancy, of course you're a designer. Everyone has always known that. And it certainly would have saved me some time if someone had just spoken up. So now what? Well, I grew up in Detroit, and it was during a time of major economic prosperity, the epicenter of iconic American brands and families. I had the opportunity to witness and experience and learn about the benefits derived from manufacturing in the United States and the real value of American craftsmanship. And it saddened me when this began to change and we started to care more about price than quality, and outsourcing became the American way. I was bothered by the lack of true American luxury design houses. With such superior talent in the US, I always wondered why the world was only enamored with the allure and the sophistication of European fashion houses. And that is when I had my epiphany. Jama would become known as the first true American luxury handbag brand made in the USA. But I wouldn't stop there. The brand would stand for resilience. The brand would stand for a cause. The brand and the cause would give JAMA its purpose and would be so intrinsically connected that one could not function without the other. Call it capitalism with consciousness. In order to do this well, I knew the cause had to come from my DNA. And knowing that so many grow up without access and exposure to anything beyond their own walls angered me. I knew that the real difference between the haves and the have-nots, if you will, was access and exposure, a staircase to the top. Having grown up with an abundance of support and opportunity, I sat at what I would always call the ideal dinner table, where I was encouraged to ask questions and to challenge the status quo. I was taught the infinite possibilities that life could afford. I asked myself one day, what happens if you didn't grow up at my dinner table? Where do you learn all of this? Who provides you the access to information, to experiences, to support? That's when I realized I wanted to find a way to share my dinner table with those who didn't have the great fortune that I did. And this was the vision upon which I founded Ambition. My dinner table provided me with all the tools I needed to found and blend JAMA and Ambition. My aspirations were big. Leading a resilient charge would be paramount to achieving my vision. I wanted my bags to be seen on the likes of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. I wanted to be featured in Vogue. I wanted to start a program that helped disadvantaged teens and integrate it with my business. I wanted to set a precedent for small business that cause is a necessity of commerce. I wanted to build a brand that would be spoken about in the same breath as Chanel, Hermes, and the ubiquitous fashion houses. So I endured symphonies of Nancy, you can't do that. There will never be another big house. You must focus solely on the money and then worry about this cause of yours. Ambition, this program you want to launch, it's impossible. You don't understand the schools. They won't let you in. You don't understand the red tape. And by the way, who really cares about product made in the USA? And featured in Vogue, really? Well, that is the beauty of pursuing your passion. And for being resilient and perhaps a little bit insane, every challenge simply becomes an achievable task. Now I smile at all my naysayers, although you should hear what's really going on in my head. And so we are coming up on 25 years, almost a quarter of a century, and JAMA is on fire. Brad and Angelina bought 9 bags. Jessica Alba, Channing Tatum, and countless other celebrities have purchased the brand. In honor of the Chinese New Year and following in the footsteps of Hermes, the Bank of China chose JAMA as the coveted gift for their 8 highest net worth account holders. And in collaboration with Gunther Works, who remaster really high-end Porsches, I have now designed 3 bags for them, and we are in partnership. And I'm working with Bentley and McLaren, and I just designed a bag to emulate a vintage Alfa Romeo. I was commissioned to design a collection for the former president, Bill Clinton, Hillary, and Chelsea, which I was able to, with a bunch of my Ambition students, present to Bill himself. A chapter of a book was written after me. And sort of to Eugene's point, this isn't about bragging. This is about what happens when you put your head down and you do the work and you believe in yourself. And we've now been featured in Vogue, compared to Hermes, featured in the Robb Report. And the debut of my motor car collection is taking my brand to a place I never even imagined. And now it's fashionable and respectable to be made in the USA. Ambition is almost 14. We have worked with over 1,000 dynamic teenagers and witnessed countless success stories. Our students have had the great privilege of spending time with Bill Clinton, with Sir Richard Branson, and a roster of extraordinary mentors on a weekly basis. And we are now currently expanding into the Boys and Girls Club and Brotherhood Crusade. And so I knew that, like my dinner table, surrounding myself with the right support system of mentors, believers, and change makers and visionaries would be critical to my success. I decided that if you were not my cheerleader, then you are not allowed in my sandbox. And as Jama emerges as a preeminent American luxury brand, and as ambition continues to provide access and exposure to youth, I look forward to the day when a young entrepreneur beginning his or her journey hears my story, reflects on my path, and is told that Nancy Gale's way is the way to do it, only to hear him or her respond with, "The hell with Nancy Gale. I'll do it my way." After all, her company slogan is to be who you are. That's my story.
Man, Nancy, you're amazing. I've known this woman for several years now, and every time I hear her story, I learn even more. So I have a couple questions, and then I hope you guys are ready to ask your questions too. And this is one of my favorite questions for Nancy, because I know what the answer is. I mean, it's just an unbelievable amount of success, Nancy. How long did it take for you to become an overnight success?
23 years. And I love that you asked me that, because as Eric knows, I have sort of a mini podcast now, and it's called 23 Years of Ramen, the salty journey of an entrepreneur. But you know, it's so interesting because I consider myself, because I've been doing what I want and on this mission for so many years, I consider my success from day one, but the external success, definitely 23 years.
Thank you. Thank you. And so I know there had to be a few setbacks in that time then. So, you know, how did you overcome those challenges and those setbacks? What did it take to overcome those challenges?
So when I started the brand, I was very involved in the entertainment industry, doing high-end cast and crew gifts. And that business was very, very lucrative, and then very quickly died. So there had been a world in which gifting in the entertainment industry was everything. And then it went to reality TV / budgets, and that didn't matter anymore. And people they went from ordering $1,000 bags for a crew to $40 sweatshirts on a dime. And I think the way I survived that was, I had to look at my business and my business partner and realize this is not the right direction for me. So I went on my own, and I had to ask myself those questions. What do I want out of this? What really matters to me? Because if I can find that thing, and it was definitely in fashion, so I was already, on the path, but I knew that if I didn't find what really mattered to me, I wouldn't have what it took to give it all that's required. And then as we carried on, and I realized I want to be in retail. I don't want to work in the entertainment industry, even in the fashion side. Then 2008 hit, and businesses left, right, and center were dying. And so I decided I'm going to do the opposite, because people with wealth, usually with great wealth, which is what the price point my bags were leaning towards, they're going to still buy bags. Recessions there's always that group of people. So how do I get into that group of people? Because I know when the economy is great, I can expand that customer base. So when everyone started going out of business, I decided to go super high end and to focus on bespoke pieces and the really high end stores. But I really believe that what gets you through those challenges, if I'm in a habit, every single day I wake up and I know that I can tackle whatever's in front of me. So I think when those, even that word challenge, I think it for all of you is the most important word in your evolution, because you can wake up and think, oh, I have a bunch of problems, or you can say, I have a challenge, which means there's a solution. So I'm always thinking forward down the road.
Yes, absolutely. Well, just I want you guys to see, this is the bag that one of these days that I'm going to get. But I'm not quite there yet, but I love this bag, the Carter. It's only $2,200. And so, I'll have to put a couple dollars together. But I want you guys to see the level. This is, so there, I know I talked to a couple of you guys about, being the best in what you do and finding the audience that you want to really work with. And what Nancy has done is like she said, she realized that those are of wealth. Recessions and small things like that, it doesn't affect them as in ways that it affects more lower income and middle income people. They're still going to be buying these bags and so forth. So she went all in, even when there were down times, and she chose that that's the type of clientele that she wants to work with. So yes, one of these days I'm actually going to surprise Nancy and get one of these back. But I love it, and I love what you do. I have just all kind of other questions that I want to ask you, but I'm going to open it up for you guys. Are there any? Jaylene asked. She said, first off, you're very pretty. That was really sweet, Jaylene. And also, does Jama offer vegan bag options? Didn't even know there was such a thing.
It's interesting. Because I do bespoke work, I would do that for someone. But this sort of, might go against people's theory in business because you want all the customers for yourself. I'm not sure if I were vegan, would I want to buy a bag from a company that produces bag from animal byproduct?
Right.
So that's a conversation I would have. I would be happy to make it if someone believed in my company enough. I mean, for us, the Made in the USA and the Ambition program, those are the two things that we really hold ourselves accountable to. So I have a lot of access to those materials, but I would want someone to think long and hard about that before they purchase, because there are definitely companies that only make vegan bags.
Gotcha. Okay. Didn't even know that was a thing. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions from you guys? Like I said, I have plenty. You could raise your hand and come off mute if you have a question for Nancy.
I see James's hand up.
Yeah, I think James' hand was up for a while. James, go ahead. You can put your hand down unless you have a question. Go ahead and come off mute if you don't. All right. No. Okay.
No, I do go one thing to say. So basically, when you started your upcoming business, was it hard for actually like a funding process? Did you have to deal with like a lot of financial problems?
Yeah.
Product like that.
Yes. When I so I'm getting it. So when I started with the entertainment business, it was a very, very cash-driven business. So it helped me before I raised money or thought about raising money. The way that business was structured, it gave me the bandwidth to not have to go after money. But when I decided I wanted to really go up to the next level, one of the issues I had was, especially in the early 2000s, nobody had any interest in funding a brand that was going to spend a lot of time doing nonprofit work. All I heard was, make the money, then you can give. And I kept saying, when is enough enough? Like on my worst day, I have it better than the kids I want to work with. Is it, and I actually posed this to a group. I said, so are you saying when I own 5 homes and 10 cars, then you'll be good enough with me working on my nonprofit? And that was really important for me to dig in and say, I'm not going to not do the nonprofit work to appease you. So I realized those were the wrong people. I eventually realized that was something I couldn't get around. Now, funny enough, now a lot of my clients mentor and or donate to the nonprofit. So that's been just a beautiful piece. But raising money, talking about nonprofit work was a big challenge. Everybody around me called it a big mistake, but I didn't know how to be anything other than the person I am. And then eventually I just, I had people around me that have supported me and really helped me, Richie being one of them. And I'm scrappy as can be. So I just figured it out. But the world of fundraising, I will say, you've got to have a hard shell, and you've got to be really determined. I was fortunate that I was able to manage it through the success of my business.
Great question, James. Great question. Yeah,
Thank
that's always going to be one of the challenges that people have is the funding, and you can work it out. The thing is, if you believe in it and your dream enough, you're going to figure it out, and you'll find ways around those challenges or obstacles or whatever you want to call them. But you just have to keep going, man. And yes, everyone goes through those issues at some point in time in their life as an entrepreneur. But no, you know what your challenges will be, and you're just going to have to take them on head, one at a time, and take care of them yourself. And that's what it means to be an entrepreneur. Is you get to make all the decisions, and quite honestly, you get to handle all the different issues that come up at the same time. So it's a nice thing where you can make all the decisions and you can make your own schedule. But like Nancy says, when someone says, starting a business and you'll never do a day of work, no, that's not true. You do 7 days of work, honestly. And then you may take 3 or 4 days off, but you do, because you do want to have some fun time. But as an entrepreneur, I have to say, I think every day about my business. There's not a moment that I'm not thinking about either one of my 2 businesses and what I do. Because as you guys know, very much like Nancy, I have a for-profit business where I sell my services to schools. And then I have a nonprofit business where people like the county pay me a contract to work with you guys. So I have a nonprofit and a for-profit. So I very much understand what Nancy does. Once again, Nancy is amazing. If no one has any other questions, I will go ahead, because there's one other question that I wanted to pose of Nancy. No? All right. Well, this is the question. Self-doubt and that imposter syndrome thing. Have you ever felt that, and how do you deal with that? Because I talked to my students about the fact that there's so many times where I've been in a room, and I still have to get over, quite honestly, where I come into a room with people who are very successful, and I think, well, I'm successful, but do I really deserve to be here? So how have you ever dealt with that?
Oh, constantly. And you know what I tell myself? I say, okay, Nancy, you got to cut that shit out, because if unless I can find a way that I know that I'll look back and say, oh, that self-doubt was really helpful, then it's worthless. So I don't give it a lot I feel it, but then I try not to give it a lot of power, and I just tell myself, just move right through it. Because I think there's almost something positive about it, because when you get through it, now you've stepped through something. And I think when you're running a business, or I know in my experience, all these little moments and movement really help you go on to the next step and the next step. So even if it's walking into a room and having self-doubt and overcoming that, even that is driving and motivating.
Exactly. Because I know I still deal with it, I have to say.
All the time. And it's satisfying to know, or liberating, I guess, that it's pervasive. I don't know anyone, no matter how successful they are, I've had this conversation so often, that has felt that many, many times.
Yes. So once again, if you guys have not heard that term, I've said it several times, but imposter syndrome, that's that feeling that you just don't belong, or that, why are people so thinking I'm so good at what, that feeling that you have a self-doubt where you're not giving yourself the worth that other people are giving you. And it can be something that can hold you back if you don't know how to handle it. It could prevent you from going through that door, or making that call, or sending that email, or going to that event, or whatever. Trust me, like I said, I don't mind telling you guys, I'm almost 60 years old. And man, at my age, I still deal with it, even though I know my skills. I know how good I am at certain things, but it's something you're going to have to deal with all your life. So I want you to know it now. All of you guys are in your early 20s. And so, man, if you master this now, oh, wow, you'll be so far ahead of the curve. Right, Nancy?
Those are very true words.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. Unless anyone else, any other questions for Nancy, we're going to move on to another fascinating young man that I can't wait to have talk to you guys, because he has a little bit different spin on his entrepreneurship. So any other questions? Anything else? Okay, cool. All right, so Thank you, Nancy. Once again, thank you so much. All right, now we're going to introduce you to Richie Machiko. Richie is someone that I am just fascinated by because Richie took, and as I told you, sometimes you don't necessarily have to be the founder of the company and the person who starts the business. In some cases, you can take your skills and come into someone else's business and use your skills to take their business to a certain level where they'll actually pay you very well for that. Okay. And they could pay you to the point where in some cases you may even have ownership opportunities and stock in the company. You never know what can happen. But Richie has a story that is similar like that. So Richie, if you will, I want you to kind of walk the folks through, how did you become this fascinating young man that I've got? And also, will you tell them your age? Because that's something you're not too far ahead of them. So I want them to know how old you are too, please.
I appreciate that, Eric. But yeah, it's great to be here. Looking forward to chatting with you guys. So yeah, just like real quick, my name's Richie. I'm 26. I think y'all are in high school, right, Eric?
No, these are all 20 to 25 in that area.
Oh, so basically
some of them a year or two, a year younger than you, at the same age as you, come some of them. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, so I graduated high school in 2016. Yeah, I'm 26. Kind of been just like into business kind of like since high school. So I went to like a magnet high school, and it was like really nerdy, like math and science focused. And I wanted to be like a doctor that helps like athletes like in sports medicine. I, believe it or not, played basketball. You wouldn't tell given my height and weight at the current state that I'm at. But our school wasn't that good, so I was able to play basketball. And freshman year I ended up breaking my ankle. And basically I had to just sit on the couch for a long time. And I started watching like a bunch of TV since there was really nothing else to do, sitting on the couch, and I found the show called Shark Tank, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. And I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Shark Tank is. It's like that entrepreneur or business people who pitch their ideas to investors, and I was like, oh, I want to do that. So my buddy and I ended up starting a sock company when we were in high school. It's just like a small little thing. We got socks made in the Philippines, just like slung them out of my gym bag. So I was like, oh, I want to just go into like business, entrepreneurship or whatever. Ended up going to Cal Berkeley for a year. Dropped out of school. And to work on, I call them startup projects. There's a lot of things that I tried, nothing really worked. And then I moved back home to LA, just like 4 or 5 years ago in 2019. And we got a job at like a marketing agency that Nancy knows. It's kind of got it because of a friend, a family friend was the founder. So hey, networking is important. People who are important, right? But when I was still living in the Bay Area, one of the people that I'd met up there was her name was Amy. And we were gonna work on something together. We just kind of stayed in touch. I got interested into like e-commerce. And like at the time it was like, oh wow, like look at all these businesses or brands that have like hundreds of thousands of followers on like IG, and like they had to be like making money. That was kind of like the inference. So I started learning about e-commerce. And I just kind of stayed in touch with the woman. Her name's Amy, and she's actually the founder of this company. It's called She's Birdie. We sell like personal safety alarms, made primarily targeted at women. And yeah, when we stayed in touch, she and her sister came up with the idea in like the beginning of 2019. And they had a lot of experience in like retail and manufacturing and wholesale, selling products in like physical locations, like retail locations. They wanted to sell their thing on the internet, which they've never done before. And since I'd been learning about e-commerce, a little bit about marketing, I helped them out. I built the first version of the site, helped them with the launch strategy. And yeah, we've got, I would say, like, we got lucky. It was a good product. And we've sold over 2.5 million units over the past almost 4 years of doing this. But yeah, to Eric's point, you know, I have a little bit of equity in the company, but it's like, you know, coming from like trying to do startups, I was always more I was inclined to like take risk, not necessarily needing to get paid at the beginning to do something, right? Being okay with taking like an equity percentage in a company to help, you know, start it, get involved at the beginning. You know, one of the things that's like kind of cool about working for a smaller company or starting your own company, being an entrepreneur, is that basically every decision you make or everything you do has like a big impact on like the outcome of what happens, right? So for example, like if you go into work at Google, you know, Google has like hundreds of thousands of people that work for Google. I have friends that work for Google, and their day consists of like changing out like 5 lines of code and being in like meetings, like 2 meetings, and like that's basically it. And when you think about it, right, there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's a pretty like nice life. I'm not gonna like lie about that. But you know, if the impact that you have at a company of that scale is going to be like very small, right? But if you are like starting your own thing, or if you are like, you know, work at like a small company or a startup, it just like makes sense, right? If there's like 10 people there, you do something, your impact is the impact of your work is gonna be large on the outcome of like what you do, right? And the other great thing about working at like a small company or starting your own company is that you have to learn a lot, right? I'm sure everyone, like Nancy, Eric, Eugene, every day you're just like learning new stuff, learning new skills, meeting new people, trying to solve problems, right? That's like basically what a day in the life is of like being an entrepreneur. It's just like, oh wow, we have to figure out how to run Facebook ads. Like, how are we gonna learn that? Who's gonna like lead that? Oh, now we have to like figure out how to make another product. Who's gonna do that? Oh, yeah, someone has to talk to the factory. Oh, someone has to like do this, like do the product design, right? Like that's just like the essence of like entrepreneurship. You're just like figuring out how to solve every problem that comes at you every day. But I think, you know, when you're our age, you're a little younger, it's like cool to work in that sort of environment, just because I think the pace at which you learn new things, the pace at which you learn like new skills, it's just like exponentially faster and greater than if you worked for like a large organization. But that's just like a personal preference. And yeah, uh I think I wanted to leave more time for questions. You know, chat with you guys a little more. So I don't know if Eric, is that cool?
That's cool. No, that's cool, man. Thank you. Like I said, when I met Richie a few years ago, I was just fascinated by, you know, number one, you know, his story, and just like I was with Nancy's story, that everyone has a different road, you know, and a different route that you go down, you know. And he took a different route. I was thinking to myself, if I wasn't an entrepreneur, then I probably would have done something like that, where I wanted to take some of my skills and apply it to someone else's business, you know, and see if I could do that for them. You know, Richie, what fuels your passion? What gets you? I mean, because obviously you're so well. I can't say you're so young, but you're a young man, and you've accomplished a lot in, you know, a short time. What fuels you on a daily basis?
Yeah, I might have like a little bit of a weird answer to that, like just to be like completely honest. I don't know if I hope this is not upsetting, but like, yeah, no, I've always been like ambitious. I had a lot of ambition, right, Nancy?
Mhm.
A lot of ambition, you know, from like a young age. Like you know, I I was like pretty good at a lot of things when I was a kid. Like I was like good at school, you know,
Mhm.
um, got internships and all that. So I've always been like pretty like personally driven. And I think what excites me now is um um learning how businesses work, right? So I've kind of been blessed with this opportunity to learn how like an e-commerce business functions, right? Like learning, oh, how does like a product get made? How much does it cost? How do you market the product? Like how much can you spend on marketing? Like, oh, when do we need to order more stuff? So like I wouldn't necessarily say I'm more passionate about like a certain mission or like product or anything like that. It's more passionate about like learning how to make a business as run as optimized as possible. It's kind of weird answer, but it's kind of
No,
the
no, I
truth.
get it. So I will tell all of you that I am, for my businesses, I am looking at how to up my social media game. And I went to Richie, okay? Just like Eugene was saying, I know my limitations, okay? I could spend forever and do it wrong trying to figure out how to do it when I know he's an expert in this area. You guys need to be thinking that way. But I went to Richie and I said, Richie, this is what I'm trying to do. And he was able to tell me in 5 minutes when I told him how much my product cost. Okay, so listen to me. When I told him how much my product cost and what kind of marketing I wanted to do, he said, Eric, you'll lose money every year because your cost is so low that it'll cost you more to get per customer. Every customer that you bring in, there's a cost to it. And I knew that. I just didn't know what it was on social media. He said, so man, you'll end up spending $20, try to bring in one customer and you're selling a product for $11.95. That doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? I hope you guys hear me with that, okay? But having someone with that expertise could have saved me thousands of dollars and a huge amount of time and a failure and so forth. So you partner yourself with people. Now we're almost ready where I'm going to go back to Richie and say, okay, now you told me that if I want to do a really marketing campaign, I need to put a $10,000 budget here. I need to raise my price from $11.95 to have a $49.95 level type of thing or something like that. But you have to figure those things out because that's what happens in business. There are things that are going to come up. And like he said, every day there are new challenges and they're not bad challenges. As a matter of fact, that's how you learn in business. I'm sure Nancy has had, a time where a certain leather was not available or something happens where the product couldn't be, manufactured. Am I right, Nancy?
Oh my gosh, more time imaginable. You learn how to duck and weave and
Yes, exactly. So this is another question for Richie because he's so close to your age, the age of you guys, that I wonder, Richie, at your age, and you come in with this expertise, have you felt that imposter syndrome, or have you felt a time where, man, this is kind of weird that I'm in here with these folks? Was that something for you, or is it just your confidence is strong enough where you never really had to dealt with that imposter syndrome or self doubt like that?
Oh, I deal with that crap every day, man. Yeah, I mean, like a good example is like we just onboarded a new marketing agency. Because the one we had hired like earlier this year was crap, so we fired them. So yeah, we're working with this new agency. So that's kind of what you do, like in e-commerce. There's like groups of people who like are like actually like super like experts at marketing. And I kid you not, like I feel like we've made more progress in a week. We onboarded them last Wednesday. So it's a little over a week. I feel like we've made more progress with them in that time than we had with the previous marketing agency over the past 5 months that we work with them, right? And I think it's just like, wow, look at all these ideas and opportunities that we have to scale the business that we haven't implemented, right? So just for like more context, like when we launched the business end of 2019, did about like $30,000 in sales that year. The next year we did $7.5 million dollars in sales. 21 we did like 16 million. Last year we did like 23.5 million. Probably end up around the same or 25 this year. So it's been like a successful venture, right? But like every day I meet people and I talk to people that are just like further ahead and who have had like tons more experience than I've had, right? So I've been you need to try to learn from them. And I think carry yourself with confidence for sure, like gotta believe in yourself, but at the same time, like just like have the self-awareness to know like, hey, like even if you don't think you're at someone's level, like people aren't like always dicks or assholes, you know what I mean? And I've just been very lucky to like just be super like, hey, like ask questions like, hey, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? Like, how should we like think of this problem, or how would you solve it? And that's how you like supercharge like your learning, right? And just like the more time and the more reps that you get, like I feel that just like fuels your confidence. You know what I mean? But like Nancy and Eric said, like it's something that's never gonna go away. You just have to like figure it out. Like Nancy's like just cut that shit out. But also, you know, work on just learning more, right? Get more information, figure it out, you know. So I think it's a combination of the two.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
my,
gonna jump in
go
for
ahead,
that,
Nancy. Yes, please, please.
because I know Richie so well. He has down what I've only met one other person his age that really got this. He never ever makes people feel like he knows more than they do. He asks questions even when he does know that he knows more. And that's really, I think, the secret sauce, right? That's the magic bullet. If you ask a lot of questions and you don't get caught up in this space of, I need to tell everybody what I know, then you take in more data and intel than anyone else. So the name of the game, right, is how do I get the most information? Where I think a lot of people are busy wanting everybody to know what they know. Richie does the antithesis of that. And I think it's of his many amazing traits, that one is high on the list.
Yeah, I agree. Being humble, being, you know, having humility and speaking with people. No one wants to talk to someone who knows it all. No, it's just not a nice trait.
Yeah, and he ends up with more info than anybody else.
Exactly.
And being young too, I feel like is an advantage. It's kind of like an inherent advantage, right? Like, because people with more experience or like knowledge, I feel are like willing to help, right? I feel like people get a lot of like enjoyment out of that. So use that to your advantage.
I've said that to them also, and I want you to touch on that again. That as a young man, I was able to find mentors and people that wanted to help me because they saw that I was so passionate about the things that I do and the things that I did. You know, that is a major, major thing that I want you guys to understand, men and women, is that someone out there will look at you and your passion and your drive and your focus and will say, man, that was me 30 years ago or 20 years ago. And they would just love to take you under their wing and be a mentor. And because the funny thing is, you get older like me, you like to share your knowledge. You know, I think I've learned a lot and I like to give it back. You know, I like to give it to you. That's why I do what I do with you guys, you know. So find yourself someone, I've always said this many times in all our classes, find someone that is doing something like what you want to do or the exact same thing that you want to do, and they're successful at it. And if that person is willing to give you their time and to talk to you, older people love to help younger people that they see that they have a passion, you know.
Don't get in right now because that will expire. So
Yes, exactly. I'm glad you said that. So once again, when you get to be in your mid 30s and early 40s and things like that, they think, oh no, you got it now. You don't need me. But that's not true. Now, one of my mentors that I've only met, 8 years ago was Uncle Ken that I've told you guys about. Uncle Ken Aldridge. Okay. He became my mentor. That's how I met Nancy. That's how I met Richie, is through Uncle Ken, the person I told you about the Dream Toolbox. And we've done 5 of the workshops on. But Uncle Ken, even in my 50s, I'm looking for people who can help me out, who can guide me, that know more than I do. I'm being humble about it. I'll go up and ask them, hey, how did you become what you become? And learn about different things too. That's the cool thing, is that you guys are young where you have an opportunity. I remember being honestly, the young guy in the room most of the time. I bet Nancy felt that too. She was the young person in the room, and now we're the person that they come to, and so forth. But be that young person who is putting himself out there, that is, has drive and ambition and so forth. You be that person right now, and man, you can make your life what it is. So I have one other question for Rich. Now, we know that Nancy and I, we have nonprofits. How do you give back, and why is that important? If that is important to you?
Oh yeah, that's a great
I
question.
already know the answer, but part of it.
So, I was lucky enough to meet Nancy when 2019 2018 2019
2019, it's crazy.
2019 went through the old marketing agency that I used to work for. I was lucky enough to be invited to class one day, to an Ambition class, and the rest has been history. So I'm on the board of Ambition. Nancy and I are really good friends now. Yeah, it's been awesome to be involved in a nonprofit in Ambition. I was always really interested in like education. So I honestly didn't think I'd be able to like do anything in that so early on. So it's just been like a great experience. Met a ton of people, met a lot of students. And I'm just like really fortunate for the opportunity that Nancy has given me, and yeah, Nancy's awesome. If y'all don't know.
And just talk on, why is giving back important? I know, we know, but for someone, like I said, your age, like I said, you're a young man, why, do you feel that you even want to give back? Why is that important?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I think sometimes you could get caught up in like what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to grow. And so selfish to like, and like where your business is at and like your career and all that, it's super easy to get caught up in all that. So selfishly, like it's just like uh I don't know like the right word, like a release valve, or like something to like get out of like my own head to get another perspective, right? I think like just interacting with like the students through Ambition, it just like it gives you energy. So like that's like a selfish answer. But then also from like a more like philosophical perspective, I think, giving back, whatever you want to call it, giving back or helping, or being involved with like a nonprofit. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who like want to make a change, right? And like there's like a lot of like people on like social media who want to be like activists and like tweet out things, and all that's like great and well. But I think if you actually want to like make a difference in something that you're passionate about, or like something that interests you, like you have to go out there and like do the work yourself. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people. I think like one of the other things is like as you like get older, and I'm sure everyone's like experienced this, you realize that a lot of times adults are just kind of dumb too. Like no one really has it all figured out. So I'm of the belief like, hey, like if you want to like make the change in the world that you want to see, like just like do it yourself. You know, you could control it. You could figure out how to do it. And you don't have to leave it up to anyone else to make a difference. So I think like that from like a philosophical perspective, I think it's important for that reason too.
Sad, man. Thank you. I sure appreciate you, John. I do. So hey, I'm going to stop talking for a second. Any questions out there, or did Nancy, do you want to say anything real quickly before we're going to go to my favorite part, is the takeaways? What are these young people going to take away from the day?
No, I mean, I love this because I think, the key to everything is just get as much information as you can and stretch yourself as much as you can.
Yes, exactly. All right, so the one last thing I will ask, any questions? Does anyone want to ask a question? Because I will I have one last question I'm going to ask of Nancy if no one else has a question. All right, cool. Nancy, and actually with both of you guys, just advice for those that are just starting or considering starting a business. What is just the basic advice you would give to a young entrepreneur?
To me, I would say just activate. If you are interested in something, reach out to everyone that is anywhere connected to that arena. Do what what Eugene had talked about earlier. Start sending emails, be connected, send notes, meet everyone you can in that arena and ask questions and be willing to step up and do the work. You know, there's something when I was coming out of college, the greatest thing was in our department, we were not allowed to be paid for internships. And now that world has changed so much. What we found, the internships that I did, I never felt like I worked for free. I felt like I owed the people money for all the education they gave to me. So I think if you are interested in something, be willing to go all in. That would be my
Thank you.
advice.
Yep, excellent advice. How about you, Richie? What would you say to those who are just getting started?
Well, I think that's part of it. Just start, you know what I mean? So I think back to when we started like the sock business. Okay, I think after you start your first company, you kind of like also learn like what's important and what's not important, right? So I think there's people out there who think like, oh, I have to like have like the perfect like name, the perfect logo, the perfect like business card, etc. You know what I mean? And if the people are like, oh, if I just build this thing, they're gonna come. Like I think that's like one of the furthest things from the truth. Like you have to go out and talk to people, talk to your customer, figure out like, is this problem like really worth solving, or is my product or idea or service something that's like gonna something people are actually gonna want, right? And I think like having that focus of like just solving the problem that people have is like really important to focus on. You know, like you don't need a fancy office, you don't need like a crazy website, you don't need like I said, business cards or anything like that. I mean, it might help you, but it's not what's going to make your business successful, right? What's going to make your business successful is like you going out trying to basically sell your service, right? And if you get a bunch of feedback where people are like, oh no, I don't want that, or people are not like paying you money for your service or your product, then you have to change something, right? And it's about being persistent and figuring out, you know, what the right offering is. So that's what I would say. But if anything, just start, because you're going to learn a lot more by doing than just like sitting and reading. So just freaking do it.
I have a question actually to Richie, because we're in two such different businesses. Because I agree 100%, right? If it's not working, you've got to figure something out. However, there are certain businesses, right, that can take 15, 20 years to build. So if that's the kind of business you choose, you've got to figure out how to commit to that. Like I always knew how long it would take to really build the validity and the legitimacy of a brand like mine. So, right. So that's a tricky space.
I think part of that is defining like what success looks like, right? So with like different types of businesses have like different definitions of success. Does that make sense? So like there's a world where like, hey, you go out and raise a bunch of like investor money from venture capitalists, and the expectation is that you're going to grow super fast. You might not make money, but you're going to show a lot of revenue, and then you're going to sell the company in like a very short amount of time, right? And if that's like the game you're playing, like business is business, but like there are different games within business. You know what I mean? It's like playing basketball. There's like 5-on-5, but there's also like 3-on-3 and like 1-on-1, and there's like horse, right? So it's like knowing the game that you're playing. And like Nancy, obviously, like you're in like a very different game, right? Like you said, like your game is like basically like a lifetime game, right? And it would take a long time. So you just gotta know the game that you're playing know the rules, know what winning looks like, and be okay with that, right?
That's really well said, because that goes back to the origin of all these conversation, which is like everybody has their opinions, and so you've got to really be able to be true to what it is you want, to be able to not take all of that chatter in.
Exactly.
So you can see two different entrepreneurs. Nancy's bags sell from anywhere from 500 to 5,000. Am I close to that?
From 2,000 to 35,000.
Wow, from 2,000 to 35,000 for a bag. Oh my God, I gotta make some money. I gotta make some money. And Richie's product that she's burning, how much are those sell for, Richie?
Oh, $30.
30 bucks, okay. All right. And he's doing $25 million worth of product off of 30 bucks. Okay. So I want you guys to meet these two amazing people, and Eugene, also these three amazing people. I just want to, thank you both. I truly, truly appreciate both of you guys. And they're actually going to come back on the 26th and speak one more time, because once again, we do this twice, and that'll be the 26th at 6 p.m. But now is time for my favorite part of the whole day is, so what do you guys are going to take away from this? And as you know, each one of you get a chance to tell me. I'm just going to go through the Brady Bunch thing here, the squares, and pick the first person on the top, and that's Lamaya. Lamaya, what are you going to be taking away from today? Are you there?
Hold on, Mr. Eric, sorry, give me a second. I'm on the train, but what I took away from all the people that was talking today, I didn't really get to hear the last person that was talking, to be honest, but the first two people that we're talking about was the guy from Louisiana,
Mhm.
and he said that oh sorry. Okay.
Want me to come back to you?
Oh yeah, can you come back so I can
I'll
move so
come
I
back.
can
Go ahead.
talk?
Go ahead. Take care of what you got to
Okay.
take care of. No worries. We'll go to the next
I'm
person.
sorry.
That's my man, James. James, how about you? What do you say you'll be taking away from today? You there, James? You're on mute. I can't hear you.
What I'll be taking from today is that all your successful stories is just made me believe in myself more. Even when it feels like the world is weighted against your shoulders, you just can't give up on yourself. Even though, life get hard, it ain't easy. And that all y'all had a goal. Y'all sit towards y'all mission. Since I sit towards y'all mission, I can believe in myself and actually be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be easy.
Yes.
It's gonna be hard. That's one thing about life.
Okay, excellent, man. You're hit it right on the head. Absolutely right. And no, that's exactly right. The great takeaway. We're going to go to the next person. That is Jacqueline. Jacqueline, how about you? What will you be taking away from it? You're on mute. I can't hear you if you're there. Are you there? Okay. How about Jaylene? Jaylene, what will you say was the thing that stood out for you today?
Yeah. What I took away from today's lesson is, well, it's basically about having a passion and a vision, right? I'm sorry, I was like thinking about it like before you chose me. Basically, when you have a passion and vision these days, you have to find out how to serve it for yourself as well, not just for others. And one of those ways is by having an income. And in order to make your passion or your vision like profitable, you have to make it set in stone. And it won't be set in stone if you don't do research, you don't communicate, you don't believe. Because if you don't inquire, is that the word? If you don't inquire all those elements, then it won't be set in stone. Just be like air instead of stone. It won't be grounded.
Right.
Your idea.
Yes, and as Eugene was saying, write it down. Write down your goals, write down those things, and then share it with someone so that person can help you be accountable. Okay, so no, excellent answer. Excellent, good takeaway. Thank you so much, Jaylene. All right, Lamaya, go ahead. I know you're ready. Go ahead. How about you? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
My bad. Okay, so one thing that I learned from the first person that was speaking, the guy from Louisiana, is like, no matter how much somebody's talking down on you or what you're trying to do or anything, like just keep going, because if you keep going, you're gonna succeed. Like, you feel me? It's like when you run track, like, once you see you get closer to the finish line, you're not gonna slow down. You want to keep going so you can just finish all the way through, like a strong finish, like, And then the lady that make the purses, one thing I learned was the word resilience. I think that's the word that she kept using. And it kind of made me think about what's going on in my life right now. Like, basically, like, she said something like the word meant like I'm trying to think how to explain this. She basically said, like, I'm gonna look it up so I can explain what I'm trying to say. Sorry. How
Nancy's
do you
right there.
read?
Nancy, what is it? What it mean? Tell, please.
So that we have a few, right, definitions. So I'll reread you all three of them. These are the dictionary definitions. The ability to spring back into shape after being pulled, bent, or stretched. Flexible, pliable, supple, and having the capability to recover quickly from difficulties.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's basically how I could say that's like the word is going like with my life right now. Like, basically, I just been having a lot of like things going on in my life, ups and downs, good and bad. But I feel like everything is starting to fall back in place. Like, everything is getting back right to where it used to be when it was good. Now, like, you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
I do.
Can you hear me?
100%. I do.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, so that's okay. So that's what I took from that. The last person who was speaking, I didn't really get to hear him. I just like was listening, like I was on the train, so it was like a lot. But all I heard that he had like this organization or something.
Well, we got the video, so we'll go back and.
But that's really.
But no, excellent answer to mine. No, that was excellent takeaway. I appreciate that. Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly what I was hoping for. You took away that resilience. That one main thing is you keep that in mind. Good job. Good job. Okay, let's go to the next person on the screen. That's Tyler. How about you, my man? Tyler, what do you think your takeaway? Well, thank you, Jacqueline, for putting yours in the chat.
Hello, is this working?
Yeah, it's working. I can hear you.
Honestly, my takeaway is the story that Nancy gave away. That was honestly like really inspiring, and I was actually like really blown away all the stuff that she went through and how the experience was for her. But then she still persevered. Like, she still continued. You know what I mean? Like, and some of the risks that she took, like during the 2008 financial crisis, the fact that she just like, she knew her target demographic and just like went for it, even in probably one of the worst times ever to go for it. She still did it,
Yeah.
and that kind of blew me away.
Yes, that's why I love her. She's an amazing person. That's why I hang around. I see, and the funny thing, like I always say, hang around people like that. Those kind of people will inspire you to do things. And now you may be thinking, I don't know, Taylor, you may be thinking, man, maybe I need to take some real chances. You know what I'm saying? But that's the kind of things that you need to hear in order for you to make those kind of decisions.
Thank you, Tyler.
Good job, Tyler.
You're welcome. Honestly, you're really inspiring.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Thank you, Tyler. Okay, I think that's Aishanae with iPhone. Is that you, Aishanae? What would you be taking away from today?
Yeah, that's me. I'm gonna be taking away what Nancy said because I can relate to her story a little. Because I lost my mom at 16 on a Sunday, and I got up and went to school on Monday and made sure I continued to push through, because my mom always told me, no matter what happens, your life never stops. So I would take away with Nancy.
Good job. Good job.
I love that. I always have this conversation with people where, the phrase of, that things are, that there are no accidents and that everything happens for a reason. And Richie and I talk about this a lot, because I don't believe that everything happens for a reason. And I always say, have a mother murdered and see if you can utter that sentence. However, everything that happens, you have the choice to draw opportunity from it. So good for you, because That's a tough thing at 16 years old.
Yeah.
But you're never going to want to look back at your life, right, and say, I didn't live it. And your mother would never want you to not live your life.
Thank you, Nancy. Absolutely great. That is absolutely true. So good job, Aishanae. Okay, we have how about my man Robert? Robert, what do you take from today? And you're on mute. I can't hear you.
I'll take just having the experiences of just having older people talk to me about being an entrepreneur and just being again more aware of my surroundings and the people around me and how I can utilize them instead of just being so consumed with myself. But that's really what I learned.
Absolutely, man. Good job. I'm gonna say something to you, Robert, too. Your voice is amazing, brother. Use your voice. Okay.
Yes.
Use your voice. It's like Eugene was talking about one of his tools.
Same thing.
Am I right, Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a great voice, bro. And I would say, use that. That could be one of those tools that you use that could, you never know how much money you could make just because of the baritone in your voice like that. Okay, you speak clearly, you speak articulately, and if you can communicate and with a voice like that, brother, hey, man. Hey, how about, am I right, Richard?
Sir, yes, sir. 100%.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, Mr. Moore. And then I was gonna say that too, because he was really shedding light on that. That's one of my first things I wanted to work on when I first started my entrepreneur class, when I just having a class with you, and then just me personally, like again, I wanted to have my speech better and everything. But again, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, brother. I'm just telling all the truth. Okay, we got 3 more folks here. How about you, Miss Ariana? What will you take away from the day? Then we have Savory, and then we're going to end with Jen. How about you, Miss Ariana? What will you take away from the day?
I pretty much, well, I came in late. I can't say that, but one thing that stood out to me was how Miss Nancy and you had explained, like overnight success definitely does not come overnight. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of thought and just a whole path and a whole guide to get to where it is that you really want to get to. So even though it's very misleading, overnight success does not come overnight.
Absolutely. So look up 23 years of ramen. I don't know if you guys even know what ramen is. Those noodles you could buy for $1 a pack when you're broke. And I ate when I was in college for those tuna and ramen. That was my life. But 23 years, you guys, think about that. I've been in business for 25 years. Nancy's been in business for even more than that. And yes, it takes time. You just have to be patient, keep working towards it, and believe in yourself. Am I right, Nancy?
Yes. Yes. Those are the truest words ever.
All right, my man Sabi, tell me, what are you going to be taking away from me? You're on mute if you're there. You there, Sabi? All right, we're going to come back to Sabi. Maybe you stepped away for a second. Miss Jen, how about you? What are you going to take away from the day? Genevieve?
My takeaway, I'm here. Sorry.
Sure.
Each story was really touching. Man, I still can't. I was crying, honestly. I can't get it. Hold on.
Go ahead.
The feedback from Eugene was great. I love how he delivered when I asked him a question, and what I got from him is communicating how to advocate yourself, having accountability partners. And I also love Nancy's story. She's big on resilience, and what also stood out to me, and now I can say it too, is like power over pity. And my mind naturally always picked power over pity, and I never really knew how to put it on words. I just knew my power and my silence is strong, and it sets a statement when someone tries to belittle me or anything, and I was always choosing power over pity, and it always spoke volumes. And her story too is really crazy. It's crazy what people go through
Mhm.
and they just keep going. It makes you go even harder too, so most of the time. And she said having a hard shout and to be determined. And Richie too, like he's like, you're 26 years old, I'm 25. Just know that. It's I find that real crazy. And you're so driven, man. You're naturally so like you were driven, you know. Um your your story tells so much, the way you carry yourself, and your actions reach volumes, and I like that you love to help others just like I do too. And helping Birdie, I find that amazing. You made him reach millions, and I forgot the word. You said something.
E-commerce.
E-commerce. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. No,
Okay,
yes.
in the
Hey, Eric,
e-commerce world.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rich.
if y'all wanted to give send Eric your address, I'll send you all alarm.
See? That's what you get when you're in the courses like this, okay? Richie's gonna send you guys alarms if you'd like one. So you just send me an email or something like that if you'd like one, or a text or an email, and I will absolutely, or you could put in the chat, yes, you want one or something like that. And I will make sure that we get you guys one, because I have one for my wife. I probably should have one for me, quite frankly. I have one for my wife, though. I gave her one, and they're an excellent product, and it's one of those things to make sure that you'll be safe. So thank you, Richie. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
We all want to be Richie when we grow up.
Yeah, okay, exactly. So good job, Jen. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Savory, my man, have you come back? Are you there? Yeah, there we are.
Yeah, I'm back now. My bad.
No worries,
I
man.
just got off work,
You're
but
last.
I was
So what are
listening.
you gonna take away from today?
I'm gonna say the first guy when he was talking, how he was saying whatever like career path you take, I'll just be in it to make a lot of money. I mean, obviously that's one of the goals, but you want to have another vision, whether that be helping people or just doing better for your family or whatever it may be. Just don't be in it all to get money, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's too narrow, man. If that's all you're thinking about, it's easy for you to get distracted. It's easy for you to burn out. It's easy for you not to have a life. But if that's why I do what I do. Like I said, I love to give back because it fills up my cup. When I'm tired and the cup is empty, and then I'm able to hear takeaways from you guys like this, that fills my cup back up. That means that you guys are actually learning something. You're getting something from these trainings, and that's very important to me. So I'm 100% with you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sabre.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else want to say anything else before we move on? We're right at 5:01. So anything? All right. Nancy, Richie, thank you.
I want to be like Nancy.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys. You both inspire me, and I really appreciate you being here for my students. I'm sure that they, as you can see, they took a lot away from today. And so, anyone else want to say anything? If not, we're going to just go ahead and wrap up for today. And I say thank you.
I would like to say something.
Go ahead, Jana.
I would just like to give thanks to everybody who spoke today, all the 3 speakers, for sharing your story, your knowledge, and your experiences. And we appreciate it. And Richard, I would also like an alarm too, please.
Okay.
100%. Just email Eric your the color and your shipping address. I got you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, another great session. This is probably one of our best. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. It's a lot of good knowledge, and the fact that you're getting it now at the age that you guys are at, man, take this, run with it, take it to heart. And once again, thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Rich. Hey, this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do with all this knowledge. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys soon. Maybe if you come to the next one on the 26th, or invite some more folks. I want it filled up. I want this room filled up with the young entrepreneurs. Okay, you guys. So hey, have a great evening. Thank you.
I wanted to say something to Nancy.
Go ahead.
Oh, that I said that you're very pretty.
Yes, she did.
Thank you. You're so sweet.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Have a great evening. We're done for today. Okay, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye, Eric, and everybody else. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Eric.
You're
Appreciate you,
welcome.
man.
Thanks, Richie. Take care.